All right, so we're going to move on to the next section, which is on emotions. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the theories of emotion. And there are three kind of major theories that you need to know and understand in this section. But before we start that, what exactly is an emotion? Well, an emotion is, according to researchers, an emotion is made up of three different parts: your physiological arousal, your expressive behavior, and then your conscious experience. Okay, so there's three pieces that have to go into the experience of an emotion. What is your body doing? Your physiological arousal. What behavior is expressed? What kind of outward observable things are going on? And then what is your conscious experience of that emotion? What is kind of your awareness? How are you thinking about what's going on in your body and behavior? Okay, so the first theory is the James-Lange theory of emotion. Now, the James-Lange theory of emotion basically says that the first thing that happens is we have the perception of the stimulus. Okay, and we're going to use a car coming towards you when you were driving as kind of our example for all three of these theories. Okay, so the perception of the stimulus is the car coming towards you. Then your body becomes aroused. Your heart starts pounding because you see the car coming at you. We know, okay, this isn't a good thing. So your heart starts pounding. Then you experience the emotion of fear. Okay, so James-Lange says it's kind of a three-step process. One, you see the car. Then two, you have your arousal happens, your heart starts pounding. Then three, the emotion sets in. Okay, so he kind of says this is the order for all of our emotions: perception of stimulus, arousal, emotion. It happens in a one, then two, then three kind of process. Now, a guy named Canon Baird said, okay, well, I kind of agree with you, but he thinks that that the order of things were a little bit different. So again, he says that we have this perception of stimulus, or this car coming at us. Then simultaneously, okay, we see the fear, or we have the emotion of fear and the arousal or the pounding heart happen together. Okay, so while James-Lange said it was perception, then arousal, then emotion, Canon Baird says that it's perception and then emotion and arousal simultaneously. So, when you're trying to decide, if you're asked a question about these three different theories of emotion and you're trying to decide which one is it, Canon Baird or James-Lange, you kind of have to do that one, then two, then three for James-Lange, or for Canon Baird, is it one and then two, three, emotion, arousal simultaneously at the same time, or some other kind of synonym of that word. Now, then along came a guy named Schachter and Singer, and they said, you know what, they're both kind of right. However, they added a fourth piece to this kind of puzzle of emotional experience. They said, okay, obviously we always start with the stimulus, okay? However, they added this cognitive label, okay? And they said, well, we have this emotion, okay? We have this emotion, this fear, and then we have this arousal. And actually, this slide is wrong. Let's go to this one. Okay, so sorry, that last slide, the order was wrong. So ignore that and just look at this piece right here. Okay, so in Schachter and Singer, they said you have arousal and the cognitive label at the same time, simultaneously. So the car's coming at you, your heart's pounding, and you're like, okay, there's a car coming at you, I must be afraid. So then you experience the emotion of fear, okay? Now, the same, another example of this perhaps could be, like your crush is walking down the hallway and your heart starts pounding because you see your crush. You're obviously not going to label this, I'm afraid. Well, you might be afraid, but more likely you're going to be like, oh, I'm in love, okay? It's because your heart will pound in both situations. So Schachter's two-factor theory adds this cognitive label, and they say this cognitive label piece is a key component because our physiology of an emotions are so similar, right? Our heart pounds when we're afraid, our heart pounds when we're happy, our heart pounds when we're excited. But so the cognitive label is super important because they said this cognitive label is what really determines the emotion that we are going to experience. Okay, so again, these three theories of emotion are really important to be able to understand, like if you're given a situation or if you're given a scenario and then it says which one of these theories is it. Okay, James-Lange says we have one, okay, and then two, then three. Okay, so kind of the James-Lange, the key kind of thing to talk it out is, I can write well with this, huh? Is then, okay? Now, with Canon Baird, it says that 1 and 2 and 3 are simultaneous. They happen at the same time, okay? So the thing to look for with a Cannon-Baird is the arousal and it is the emotion happening at the same time, simultaneously. And then last but not least, we have the Schachter two-factor theory, which adds this addition of the cognitive label. Okay, so this is the thing that sets it apart. And it says basically that whatever our label is, it kind of determines which emotion that we experience. Now, the Schachter two-factor theory is kind of what our working the one that we work with today when we're talking about our emotional experience, okay? Because of the fact that we do know that the physiology of our emotions are so similar between things, okay? So, you know, example, I face a stranger, my heart is pounding. Is it fear, excitement, anger, lust, or did I have too much caffeine? Okay, so the label, the situation, completes the emotion. Because if we just solely relied on our physiological reaction, we might get that emotion wrong. So in a study by Schachter and Singer in 1962, subjects also experienced a spillover effect. Okay, this is an important term to make sure you guys understand this spillover effect. Okay, the spillover effect is when arousal was caused by injections of what turned out to be adrenaline. Okay, the subjects interpreted their agitation to whatever emotion the others in the room appeared to be feeling. The emotional label spilled over from others. So we also see this, another prime example of this spillover effect is kind of like riots after sporting events. Soccer, this happens often in soccer, where the winning team wins and then they take this emotional charge they have and then they file out and they go and they end up rioting in the streets and doing all of this violence. Well, because what they're saying is that all that adrenaline that they had spilled over to the next event, and then when the losing team, maybe they were being a little bit aggressive, and so it fueled that kind of emotional adrenaline or that emotional kind of rage from the next event as well. All right, so again, the three emotional theories, or the three things that you really have to know and identify: the James-Lange theory, the Cannon-Baird theory, and the Schachter two-factor theory. So make sure that you understand and can identify these three different theories.